Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Dr. Glenn is a clinical psychologist and former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leaving the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Before we get started, if you haven't downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it's the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston with defeatyourcravings.com. I'm here with one of my favorite master coaches, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. I was looking forward to you coming on because you've always got interesting things to ask me and teach me, talk about. So what's on your mind today?
Well, this one might be kind of short. Kind of want your thoughts, some things I've been thinking about, the importance of autonomy. Keep going back to that, how important it is that we're all different. We all have different dietary philosophies. And more specifically, the importance of autonomy, even with an imperfect diet, in quotes, imperfect diet. And I think as a coach, I've come to a place where I really love to nourish my body. I really love the food I get to eat. Every time I eat, I'm thinking about how great I'm going to feel and how great it feels to eat it and just the textures and the different tastes and how much more I enjoy food now. I don't binge anymore. And I've come so far in this journey of my own. But I wasn't always like that. I didn't start off that way. And I had amazing success on that imperfect diet. I wouldn't say that I am perfect now. Please don't misunderstand me. But looking back, I definitely would not choose the foods that I ate then. But it took a while for those certain foods to either work their way out of my diet or other foods to come in. And it all began with just starting with some very simple rules and working on the binging. That's my thought. What do you think?
I think that what you're talking about is critical, and I'm glad that you're underscoring the importance of it. I think that the diet mentality says that you adopt this perfect diet that's going to fix everything. You're going to do it for a while, and then you can return to eating quote unquote normally, which mostly means for people, going back to screwing up a lot. I call it growing up about food, not acting like a dependent little child who has to do exactly what someone else says, but saying, look, I've been around for a long time. I've read a lot of things. I've talked to a lot of experts. I have healthy days and unhealthy days with food. And so I really know what it means to nourish my body well. And I know what it means to nourish my body poorly. And I'm going to make myself a plan to stair-step my way towards better nourishment, slowly but surely. And I'm going to accept that it's better to aim perfectly for an imperfect target, for a target that's actually reachable, that I can concentrate on with the totality of my being, than to put a target that's just way too high a bar and I'm never going to make it sustainably. So I'm just going to try for a little while until I can't take it anymore. Then I'm going to go back to overeating and binging. I also think that there's something about food problems that goes back to a very early time in life, at a time when we probably couldn't talk and didn't have words. And maybe through no fault of their own, I think we were probably fed against our own best interest in some ways, either too inconsistently, or there are videos of my mom just continuing to pour milk into my mouth while it spilled all over my shirt. She just wasn't paying attention and I was obviously too full. And so I think that we all have these autonomic patterns from having experienced those times where we're fed against our own best interest. I think that overcoming that involves really taking responsibility and not making yourself dependent upon anybody else to tell you what you can or should eat. And that doesn't mean I think you should eat donuts all day long. I think there is something called objective reality and standards. I find that when I give people permission to figure out what they really want to eat, you just ask them, what's a healthy day for you? What's a not healthy day for you? What's the simplest rule that you could implement to move towards having more healthy days? They get a little success, they get excited about it, and then they build on that and go forward, and they feel like a responsible grown-up taking control of their own fate. And that feeling is contagious, and it really fuels them to want to adopt more disciplines. And before you know it, people are doing better and better and better. So I think that autonomy is critical. I do.
It is, yeah. One of my clients recently said she took out all candy. She had a list of what she wasn't going to eat, and she was doing well. She really liked it. She'd commented a few times about how she wasn't sure it was realistic with her life, but she had reasons why she was removing it. And so she'd been doing well, and I talked to her a few weeks later, and she had struggled a little bit, and she said, I just want to be able to have it. She gave this specific time, and I said, hey, you absolutely can. Let's just make sure we have a rule around it and figure out if this is something that you really want. Is this really what you want to do? She said, okay, but within the very next breath almost, she said, she realized that that was the pig, and she said, absolutely no, I don't want it because, and then she listed all of these reasons why not. I don't want it. This is why I don't want it. And so she definitely decided and realized that in her autonomy, she could have it if she wanted to, but she had reasons why she didn't. And then I had another person that almost the same exact thing, except she said, no, I don't want it because the next day, this is what's going to happen. And my health is going downhill fast. And it's really important that I don't. So you know what? I don't even want to allow it even one time. And sometimes there's that black and white. I'm going to allow it, that black and white, I'm going to allow it, or I'm going to get rid of it altogether. But then there's that in between where you just begin to naturally, I don't want to choose it. I want to start eating better.
And sometimes that's facilitated by the permission to make your own autonomous rules. If you feel like there's a should, you're imposed upon by others, then it makes you want it more. But if you realize these are my rules, this is what I want to do for my own well-being, then you don't necessarily have to rebel against that.
I allowed desserts after dinner for a while. Then I took it off when I was doing really well and losing weight. And I thought, well, I'm going to keep the desserts out until I get to a certain weight goal. I got to that weight goal and I was like, I don't even want these things. I don't even want them. I got rid of the rule altogether and I just kind of stayed away from them. I don't even have a rule about that stuff anymore. I just don't want to eat it. Just something I don't even want to eat. I started with an imperfect diet.
Transformation is amazing, isn't it?
It really is. And you know what? The effects are long-term, the longer you stick with it. But then the changes, I think, are slow, but even more long-term. I don't know if that made sense. Like I've made so many changes in the last couple of years, and each one was really important. But I felt amazing before I made that change. I felt amazing all the way up until I was like, I think I need to work on this, or I think I need to work on that. Those first few weeks, as I worked through my rules and followed them 100%, I felt amazing. I felt unbelievable. And yet I feel even better now than I did then.
Once you gain the ability, once you develop the muscle which allows you to follow a reasonable set of rules, then all of your natural problem-solving skills and wisdom acquisition skills, you can actually put them into play. You can actually use all the knowledge that you have from all the years of reading books, and you can think about it slowly but surely to craft the life that you want with food. So, Yvonne, you're a shining example. You're a shining example of that.
You've been my mentor, my hero that doesn't wear a cape, right?
You're sweet. You're really sweet. I'm just a guy who doesn't eat pizza and chocolate anymore. That's what it comes down to. I figured out a weird way to stop. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to tell me or ask me or talk to me about today before we wind down?
Nope. That's going to do it for today. We'll have to revisit all of my other topics later.
We'll do it again. Okay.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. If you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.